Anywhere you say, anywhere you say, anywhere.
All right, good evening, good Tuesday evening on this gray, soggy, nasty day in Kentucky. Again, yesterday, 80 degrees, sunny, people outside dancing, kids running around with those giant bubble things. And today, this nice this afternoon. Can't complain about that. A little windy, but now we're getting the rain moving in, and it's kind of effed up. So, but shout out to everybody that's going to be here now. Shout out to everybody who will be here later. Of course, if you all don't know, 60 frames no lag tonight, 8:30. But I normally jump off of that podcast between 9:30 and 9:45 because I have to get up and go to work the next day. And shout out to everybody who doesn't. Not to mention that later tonight we got the we got the Andor show, which was just those 3 episodes they dropped last week. Fire, absolute fire. All 3 of them very well done, very well written. Shout out to the producers and showrunners for that show. Also, you got The Last of Us going on. A lot of people, I've said this multiple times, that the video game world, and the world of television, it crosses over sometimes. With The Last of Us, what you're seeing is a lot of people who didn't know The Last of Us plot. That's all there is to it. The Last of Us has never been about Joel. It's always been about Ellie. When we meet Joel, Joel's redemption is in helping and saving Ellie. Joel feels redeemed. Okay, but we don't get to see what Joel did for that 20 plus years before he met Ellie. We don't see that. So again, could Naughty Dog have done a DLC? Maybe not Naughty Dog, but another company go to Sony and be like, hey, like that company did with Oblivion. That wasn't Bethesda. That was another offshoot company that did that game. So could a company get together and say, yeah, well, we want to make a Last of Us prequel before Joel meets Ellie? Of course they can. Of course they can. Do some missions with Tommy. Do some missions with Joel. Do some missions with Tommy and Joel. Yes. I mean, but I am for the people who actually understand how the technology works to go ahead and do that. That's what I would like to see. Would I like to see some DLC with The Last of Us Part 2 with Tommy? When he went to Seattle, what he did to the wolves and to the people he was trying to get the information from. would I like to see that? Yeah, I would like to see that. You know, did he run into the Seraphites? Did he do all these things? So, yeah, I would like to see that as well. But I'm also okay. I want to make this clear that I would like to see that. But I'm also okay with never seeing it. Okay? Because, again, I can write that story myself. I can literally write that story myself. So, and I'd much rather just do it myself, whether it's just in my head. We never saw Tommy smuggling. One of the things Ellie did say, and it was actually a part in the game. I'm sorry, in the TV show. When Ellie said, you know, Joel did a lot of things to a lot of people, and so, something, this came back to bite him. And I mean, that's not exactly what she said, but you all get the gist of what I'm talking about. But you know, the whole story that's been written is the circle of violence. So you get half a story with Ellie, you get the other half of the story with Ellie and Dina, you get the other half of the story with Abby, and then it all comes together on the beach when they meet each other for like the third time. You got to remember, Abby had to drop on Ellie 2 of the 3 times, and she didn't kill her. She had multiple chances to do it, but at Abby's core, she was a good person. And that's what you see when she's being redeemed, is that when did she start smiling again? When she started helping Lev. Because again, she was becoming the daughter that her father had, taught. There's a reason why even after she killed Joel, she was not happy. She literally walked around the whole game with resting bitch face until she started helping Lev. Then she started smiling. That's the truth. And I want people to go back. If you don't believe me, go replay the game. At least this, so when Dina and Ellie go their separate ways, so to speak, when that happens, Dina is sick and tired of the circle of violence, and she just wants it to end. She lost the father of her child. She loses the father of her child to the wolves. So we can go on and on and on about it, right? But it is what it is. What's up, Prince? How you doing? So, but again, that's what I saw when I was playing the game. That's the story that I got out of the game. Everybody else just wants to be in that world, and I've said, well, maybe they compromise, and that's why I said before, maybe they get around to a point where they do a prequel DLC and or a DLC to call it Tommy's Run. You can just, whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? Just call it Tommy's Run, or if you're so desperate to do that, just write the story yourself. I'm to a point now where I'm just telling people, why are you all waiting on other people to do things for you? You just go do it yourself. So that's what I would like to see. However, I also, and I've said this before, my 2 complaints, these are just observational complaints about The Last of Us Part 2, is that it was too long, and that I would have liked to see Naughty Dog give the player an option at the end to kill Abby and Lev, or just to kill Abby, or kill Lev, let Abby go, because Lev did kill Dina's baby daddy, or let them both go. I thought that could have been interesting to see where a lot of people, what they did. It's kind of like Detroit Become Human, when it's like Detroit Become Human, when they put the percentages of I don't know. I may not be on air for long. That lightning was that looked nasty, so I may get knocked off the air. That storm's about 3 miles away. But again, enough about what I would do. What would you all like to see with The Last of Us? And because again, I'm trying to close that subject off. I beat The Last of Us Part 1. I like The Last of Us Part 1 more. I think it's because of the world being brand new. But that's just me. I just like that a little bit more. But I still really like The Last of Us 2. It wasn't like it was junk. So both of them are great games. Let's go to the. I want to start with some. Let me give you some PS6 news. So I told you all when I got some credible PS6 news, I would bring it to you. And one of the things I told you was that they were going to be targeting 8K. Let's see here. Let me see if I can pull this story up. Okay. WCCF Tech. Just going to see what we get here. I may have to do it a different way. Let me see if I can do it. I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Hold on. If I'm off the air, I apologize. There's a massive storm. I don't know if you all can see through the window, man. There was a nasty-ass storm moving through here. Good day in the morning. It looks bad. Let me see here. Let me hit pause here.
When you're starting out with your finance.
All right, let me hit pause. Let me go to... All right, here it is. Here it is. So I'm just going to show you this because I told you all, people are like, what are they going to be doing? What are they going to be targeting? Things like that. And I told you you're going to be targeting 8K. I specifically told you all they're going to target 8K. And people push back, oh, it's not going to happen. They're not going to do it. Bam, here you go. Here you go. So this is from WCCF Tech a couple days. Matter of fact, this was yesterday. A lot of people did not talk to you all about this. And I'm putting this up on the screen because I'm wanting to give you context now to why I told you. It is because technology is always going to go forward. Now, Sony is not, NOT, going to allow its game, its first-party game, Horizon Zero Dawn, or Horizon Forbidden West, is being shown here. This is an 8K display off this computer right here. All right? Make it bigger for you. That's obviously, you can see that up there. They're talking about it right here. And so I'm wanting you all to see this so that you all understand. The PS6, what's it going to target? 8K. I told you that. I told you. And again, I got pushed back, which is fine. But now here's more context to what I was told. I was already told about this. I was told, but I got a source at AMD, Lou Waffle. Lou Waffle ain't been wrong yet. But again, me saying it to you versus me showing this to you, now you can read it yourself. I left a link in the description. And here you world's first 8K 120 hertz gaming on HDMI 2.1. Pretty sure HDMI 2.1, 2.2, 2.2 is going to be in the PS6. I'll tell you that much right now. The spec is notoriously limited to 8K at 60, but the display string compression allowed them to overcome that limitation. So again, the PC was entirely powered by AMD hardware. Remember Sony and AMD doing that, was it Project Amethyst, whatever it's called? Well, guess what? Here it is. Here it is. Sony is going to target 8K resolution, okay? Here's my understanding of your specs. 8K 60, 8K 120 in some cases, 4K 120, okay? Not 4K 60, which will still be offered, but 4K 120. These are the targets. So you got a soft target of the 4K. 4K native 60, no more checkerboarding, no more dynamic resolution, native. Native 8K gaming on the PS6. This is what they're targeting. Here's the first look at it. You're going to say, well, Craig, this is on PC. You're right, but the PS6 is going to be about the same level, if not right below, the 9070. It may be a little bit more powerful. The game was Horizon Forbidden West, and the TV was a modified Neo QLED 8K set with ALLM, auto low latency mode, VRR, variable rate refresh, and FreeSync. So again, I don't want to hear it. Like, I don't want to hear it. Okay, this is going to happen. I'm not going to play this. But it goes on to say the signal was sent to the TV using HDMI 2.1B, which is almost 2.2, with DSC support. And impressive smooth visuals attracted a lot of attention from visitors, especially those that were already aware of the game, which is visually very impressive. We know if you don't like Horizon Forbidden West, fine. But the game looks stunning. It looks stunning. So, but I want you all to see this because you all, people who are going around, well, the PS6 is going to do this. This is what the PS6 is going to do. And you need to also understand that you can argue with me, which is perfectly fine, or you can start getting it ready. Because you need to start getting it ready. Okay, don't argue with me. Get it ready. Now, what else do we have here? The game supports the Steam platform which allows analytics to be shown and confirming the 120 HD operation. Get this, the game is rendered at 5K, then internally upscaled using AMD ML, that's machine learning, Fidelity FX Super Resolution 3 technology. Now, we already know PSSR is ahead of that. It's already ahead of that. But again, where does this sound familiar? Rendered at 5K. Didn't Sony just drop a game that was rendered in 5K called Days Gone? It is rendered in 5K. Then it is downsampled to 4K. That's why then you get the extra fast refresh rates. And all of a sudden you have a brand new looking game. Again, it's the same game. They didn't change nothing as far as the game and the sound. Well, the actual acting. But they didn't change the script. And you still can't change clothes. Now maybe they patched that in. Okay. But ultimately, this is what they're going for. And again, you can argue with me all you want to. You can say, well, Sony's not going to do it. Sony's going to do this. Sony's going to do this. And I'll show you some more proof here on why Sony is going to do this. This right here. Let me try to pull this up. Let's go to Google. Hopefully I'm still on the air. 8K. Okay. Just gonna go here. Do they not have any? Oh, I don't see them. Hold on. Do they not have them here? No. Hold on. Let me see here. All right, so I'll show you this one. Everybody knows about this one. Excuse me. So here we go. Let me go back over here. Let me bring that up there. Let's make that small. That is a 8K TV. So they're going to build their system to match the 8K TVs. Now, here's the good news. 8K TVs are coming down in price, and you can just go ahead and start getting it ready. Okay? I've heard about the 16K. There may be something more in that article about 16K, so why don't you go ahead and read about that. But I want you all to understand that technology is not going to slow down because you can't afford it. I mean, again, I'm not going to buy an 8K TV, and I told you all, that's why I'm not buying a PS6. And people are like, why are you not going to buy the PS6? Because I don't care about 8K. And people are like, no, it's not going to be no 8K. Yeah, it is. There's no reason to get a PS6 unless because you already have 4K 60 right now. We're already there. Now, again, with the PS6, a lot of these games that are dynamic will be 120 FPS 4K native. Where's the link to the article? It's in the description. It should say something about these WCCF. It's in the description. But 8K televisions are available. I'm not going to buy one. I mean, can't afford it. Wouldn't be prudent. 1,000 points of light. Okay? So I'm happy with what I got. As they would say, as you get older, you become more content. Okay? As you get older, you become more content. So, and I'm content with what I have. I may end up, after I move, getting another monitor. I do want a 4K OLED monitor because I'm addicted to those deep blacks and deep blues, and I'm addicted to that. I don't want. That's me though. Everybody's different. It's fine. Everybody's different. So, but you all can read that article, and that's what the PS6 is going to do. You have to remember that Project Amorous or Anthemus, whatever they announced when Sony was talking about the PS5 Pro, I'm sorry, and he talked about that. That's what's happening. As they said, as Natalie and Bruglia said back in the day, that's what's going on. So either you all can get ahead of it and start saving and getting it ready, or you won't, just don't participate. But what I'm not going to do is sit here now that I've given you context. You're not going to be able to sit there and say, oh, well, that's not going to happen. That's where they're going. This is where the technology is pulling them. That they want to push this. So it is what it is. You can't tell between 8K and 4K. You're looking at the wrong TV. You're looking at the wrong TV. That's all I can say. Okay? You're looking at the wrong TV, buddy. So But we'll move on to the next story while there's still, excuse me, while there's still electricity running. And let's see here. Let me go to the next story, which is talking about Xbox Game Pass. Let me pull that story down. Let's see here. No, that's actually a pretty good, nice article there. Is it here? Yeah. All right. Let me kind of pull this back here. So this comes from Sammy Barker. This is 5 a.m. yesterday. This comes from Push Square. And to borrow a line from Foxy Games UK, you're either a circle or you're a push square. So, PS Plus and Xbox Game Pass are not the future of gaming, says U.S. analysts. Not us analysts, U.S. analysts. Says here that for the most part, I'm not going to dig into the article. I left it linked in the description. That's going to give you my opinion on this. This has always been the reality. And this is why for Sony, this is why PS Plus is just it's support. Okay, it's not the main thing. Xbox's Game Pass, however, Xbox's Game Pass is the main kit and caboodle for Xbox. And they're stagnant. So, and again, with people, I mean, I saw somebody put in the chat, and I think that this is legitimate, that because you have people watching their money, they're going to get rid of all these subscriptions. I mean, again, I'm doing it myself. I got rid of Netflix. My Netflix subscription ends in like 6 more days. I'm not going to pick it back up again until Three Body Problem is back on, which won't be, I don't think it's coming back till 2027. So I'm good on my Netflix being on. A lot of people are cutting back on subscriptions, sir, because we've got a whole lot of them. I got Peacock. I'll just speak for myself. I got Peacock, HBO Max, Stars. I've got I still have Netflix. I have Disney Plus. I've got Hulu. I mean, it's too much. I'm like, I don't need that. So, and I have PS Plus, which went up in price. So why did PS Plus go up in price? Because it's stagnating. That's why. PS Plus is stagnating, so they got to get more from the people that are already here. That is why the price went up. All right? The price went up. And that's to be expected because things are going up. That still doesn't make it suck any less, but it is what it is. Now, why did Xbox start putting games on PlayStation, and they're going to put games on Nintendo as well? It is because it's because they were stagnant. So it's like, and they saw it coming. They like, shout out to what D-Batch said. D-Batch was like, they've already adjusted to the stagnation by putting their games everywhere, by going multiplayer. Yeah, that's the best way for Microsoft to combat it's the losses that they're taking. It just is. And that's why they did it. And again, I don't have to sit up here and be upset about it because I was one of the first people that I know of, and I'm sure there were other people as well, saying that they were going to start putting their games everywhere because that was the best thing monetarily for them to do. They are phasing their consoles out. They no longer care about the console, and they are putting their games everywhere. Again, when I was at GameStop the other day, buying some stuff and or looking at some stuff to possibly buy, I heard the GameStop clerk. I heard the GameStop clerk saying, yeah, Microsoft was putting all their games on PlayStation, not just a few. They're going to put all of them on there. Hence for why I said they just getting it ready for you. You know, that's all they're doing at this point in time. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out and buy an Xbox. If that's what you like a friend of mine said. Not a friend of mine, I'm sorry. Somebody contacted me on Xbox Live about a week ago, and they were like, look, they've had an Xbox. I've told this story before. Well, is this the same person? This is a different person. They said they've had their Xbox since they were 17 years old. Now he's 40. So he's like, what's going to happen? I'm like, well, they're getting rid of their consoles. They're phasing them out. So it is what it is. I'm not upset about it because, again, Game Pass is a good value. That's exactly what it is. it's terrible for game sales. But if you have a small team like the people who did Expedition 69 or whatever the hell that game is, you got a 30, 35, you have a 30, 35 man team, whatever they had, which was perfectly fine, okay? And they get a nice paycheck from Microsoft. Let's just say Microsoft gave them $3.8 million. I mean, I don't know, I'm just putting a number out there. $3.8 to $4.5 million for that to be on Game Pass. Now you operate in the black, and everything that comes from everything that they get from Sony, everything they get from Steam, everything they get from Nintendo when their game goes over there, they are fine. They're fine. They're in the black, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, and I'm for this, but I've always known that you got to remember the people, and I love what Reforged Gaming said about this. Just to paraphrase Reforged Gaming, shout out to him. Make sure you all are sub to him. when Microsoft had no exclusives, the Xbox community was screaming, "Exclusives are bad. Exclusives are bad." Then they bought Bethesda. ABK, I think that's what it's called. They bought ZeniMax. I'm sorry. When they bought ZeniMax, all of a sudden having exclusives was important again. All right, so they changed yep, here we go. Changed the drum. He's right about that. Then they started saying, you started hearing the rumors, well, Bethesda's still going to put games on PlayStation, things like that. Oh, well, Sony needs to start putting games on Xbox. Not going to happen. You know, again, to me, they already do. They already put MLB The Show over there. Granted, they don't publish it to them, but they make the game for Xbox. It's fine. And that's from a Sony first-party studio. But then all of a sudden, exclusives were bad again because now Bethesda's putting their games on Sony's console. Then all of a sudden, they buy it. So now, bad. Exclusives are bad. Exclusives are bad. Then, boom. They buy ABK. Now, all of a sudden, well, we're going to get Call of Duty. We're going to have Call of Duty. And when they saw the writing on the wall, if you think it's a coincidence that just about 6 months after Call of Duty did not move people over there, there wasn't a big jump. When that didn't happen, that was the end. That was it. They played their last card. Hey, you buy this, all these people are going to jump over to Game Pass. It didn't happen. There was a bump. There was like 10 to 12% a bump. There was a little bit of a bump over there, but it did not move their numbers the way they told the shareholders. So in order for them to recoup their money at the highest rate, ROI, rate of investment, rate of return, whatever you want to call it, they said we're going to put games everywhere because this guarantees. This is a guarantee that we're going to sell. And then they see things like Hi-Fi Rush coming out. Phil Spencer saying it's just going to be 4 games. Now, that's not people like, well, Phil Spencer lied. No. He, at the time, and Phil's a businessman. At the time, it was only 4 games. All right? At the time. So where's the lie? But when Phil got sacked, and I keep trying to tell people, Phil got sacked. So, and now Amy the Hood is in charge. Amy the Hood is in charge. So Tim Stewart's in charge. Phil got sacked. Phil Spencer's still there. And I've said this multiple times. It's Phil's face, but it's Amy's words coming out of his mouth. You didn't think Phil wanted to go out there and say there's no red line? That's not, because it's no longer Phil's call to make. Amy's making that call. All right? Why did Phil go out there and say our commitment to Xbox gamers is that Xbox is it Microsoft? He said our commitment to Xbox gamers is that if you have Game Pass, these games will come day and date to the service. However, Phil finished, however, our commitment to the gamers is that you will see more of our IP popping up on other devices. That's it. It's over. And remember, I told you all these YouTubers these podcasters are going to struggle. It was going to be struggle love for these podcasters when the console war ended. There we go. when the console war ended, it was going to be struggle love because these guys don't have nothing else to talk about. And lo and behold, that's exactly where we're at. That's exactly where we're at with it. Also told you there were going to be Sentinel events that happened that separated the gamers from the fanboys. And we're getting it again with the state of play. We're getting it with the state of play. Well, I'm shifting here. But just so you know, PlayStation has always known that subscription service wasn't the end all to be all. Xbox went in that direction. It has failed. So because it failed, they are putting games on all the consoles. Again, they already knew, like Microsoft can see they are where they are because they're not a dumb company. Okay, that's $1 trillion company, first in history of the world. So at the end of the day, they understand. Microsoft understands, hey, our shit's slowing down. We're not getting the rate of return. We're just going to start putting games everywhere. So they remedied it. It's done. They have already remedied this situation. Now, and Sony remedied it how? By raising prices. That's why the price went up. Like, hey, look, buddy, you're going to have to, if you're stagnant, if you're hitting stagnation, then you got to go to the people you already have in your system and say, we got to squeeze you more. And that's what they did. They squeezed more. And people didn't like it, but guess what? They don't have a high rate of cancellations. People are just like, all right, I'll deal with it. But remember, I went from the ultimate level. I was at the highest level, and I dropped down to the mid level. I'm like, look, I had the ultimate for a year. I did none of those. I did maybe one game trial, and that was I did Cyberpunk, and then I did the Hogwarts game trial, and I only played Hogwarts for like 45 minutes. I'm like, this game is okay. I may be able to get into it, but I need more than 2 hours with my wizard. I called my wizard Count Chocula. Anyway, moving on. Let's pull this story down. I think we've had enough. So as long as you all understand that subscription services around the world are not growing. Maybe HBO Max is getting bigger, but that's it. And it's not getting that much bigger. Prime is not doing huge numbers as well. So it's not. And the Prime and Paramount Plus, I got that one. That's going to go too. That's going too. Prime went up. I think my Prime, I remember when I first got Prime, it was like $7.99 a month. Now it's like $13, $14. I'm like, man, what the hell are we doing? So yeah, I'm getting rid of that myself. Yeah. Well, I'll keep Prime. I'm keeping Prime. What am I talking about? I'm getting rid of Netflix. I'm getting rid of Max. I've already seen the first 5 episodes of The Last of Us, so I'm not. The Last of Us will pop back on another. It was on something else later in the year. Like it'll be on. I forgot what it was, but it'll be on later in the year, and I'll just finish watching it. So, but shout out to everybody that's going to, wait till they show. Well, I'm not gonna say it. I'm sorry. No spoilers. No spoilers. Make sure you're watching it. Let's go to another story. Kind of coming around the mountain, as I like to say, back, my generation would say. So we went over the PS6 news. If you have any more questions about that. All right, Xbox cannibalizing game sales. I mean, I don't even know why this is an issue. And I'm going to show you this article from like a year and a half or 2 years ago that, Xbox cannibalizing gaming. And, let's see here. We're going to let's pull this IGN article. Of course, I'm not going to play it with some chunky girl in it. So let me see if I can pause it. Yep, pause. Okay, there we go. I was going to go to an Xbox article so that people can't say we're hating on Xbox. I'm tired of people trying to run around saying there's an Xbox tax. The only thing being taxed is your ass at this point. Here we go. According to Xbox, according to Microsoft admits Game Pass is cannibalizing sales. A great deal for players without a cost. Yeah, now this article, you go down to the bottom here, the article. Look at when this article came out. Dun, dun, dun. February 13, 2023. 2 years and some months ago. This is just a reality. So if you hear people saying, well, Xbox, Game Pass is cannibalizing sales. Well, who said that? What proof do you have? Here you go, right here, 2-year-old article. I found this in a matter of seconds. So when people told you all that Game Pass is cannibalizing sales, you can see that now. They're not buying these games. They're not. They're not buying the games. They're using a rental service to access the games. Again, I'll just use myself here, and I'll use Corey Massey. Shout out to Corey Massey in the chat. If me and Corey Massey work at the same company, and we both work in sales, okay? And we're both working in sales. We both work hard. Corey Massey signs $40 million worth of contracts for sales. $40 million. He brings in $40 million to the house. And I go ahead and I talk to 50,000 people, and I bring in 500,000. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win that contest? It doesn't matter. I talked to more people. Corey sold more product. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many people I contacted. It does not matter. Okay. And what Microsoft tried to do is they tried to say, well, our measure of success.
Microsoft will be a third-party publisher. They are leaving the console market.
Yeah, I don't disagree. They are already a third-party publisher, so yeah, I agree with you, Red Pill Sleeper Cell. And I'm not here attacking Microsoft when I can look at the numbers. Shout out to you for the $5 though, brother. I appreciate you. Didn't have to do that, but I appreciate you. Make sure you hit the like for make sure you get the likes up, hit the like button, spread the love, spread the joy. And they're Sega. Sega came out with a console. The console failed. It's not like Sega didn't try. They had multiple variations of their system. People didn't want the system. So Sega crushed the system. They got rid of their system, and they went right to, they went ahead and said, okay, we're just going to make games and put them everywhere. And guess what? They're doing fine. They're fine. But again, so when people were saying, well, why are people always dogging Xbox out? Nobody's doing that when you can just go right into this article and clearly that's what it says. I don't know what else. That's like somebody saying, hey, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, and then somebody's turning to you and saying, why are they talking bad about Japan? No, it's just a matter of statement of fact. And this is a statement of fact. It cannibalizes sales. End of discussion. I don't know why it's so hard for some, not all, for some people to admit. Now look, this doesn't mean, and again, they think that when you say this, that you're saying Game Pass is terrible. No, we're simply saying that it cannibalizes sales. So it's terrible for that, but as far as being a great deal for the players, you can't beat it. Okay, one of the most successful games this year, that Expedition 69, it's on Game Pass. I've downloaded it. I've got it on PC. I haven't played it yet, but I have it on PC Game Pass. I'm good. When I move into my new place, when I'm not outside smoking a stogie, drinking some bourbon, I will probably be playing that game. Well, no, I'll be out doing other stuff too. What am I talking about? But yeah, so I really hope this, and this is a thing for PS5. As far as Microsoft targeting Sony, making sure Sony's getting everything. Sony is a client, so you don't want to treat your clients bad. Again, anybody who's in the business world knows that when you get clients, just imagine being an agent for a football player, a basketball player, a tennis player, whatever, soccer, hockey, whatever, baseball, and you treat your client like shit. How long are they gonna stay your client? See what I'm saying? And again, remember I told you all that the console war was over, and a lot of these cats, it was going to expose a lot of people. That's exactly what it did, right? Got a lot of people out here looking spooky. They can't console war no more. They'll try it. They'll try it, but they look stupid. And I've heard other people say things, well, Sony is taking an L because people are buying Microsoft games on PlayStation. Again, it's not an L. I don't know when having more became less. Okay? I mean, in their commercial, more is less or something like that. I don't know if it's like it's an eczema commercial, less is more, or more, something like that. The eczema commercial, less is more. When did that ever happen? It started at the end of this week. If I want, and if you want, and I'm saying if you want, let's say you have a PS5 console. At the end of this week, if you want, you can go ahead and you can wake up one Saturday morning if you want, okay? And you can download Gran Turismo and play that. You can do it if you want, if you have a PlayStation. Okay? And you can also, when you get done playing Gran Turismo, you go play with your kids, and you go out and you do whatever you do with your wife, and you go live your life for that day. You can come back home that same night, and you can download Forza 5 and play that. Now, as of right now, the only place you can do that, as I speak, my voice hits the microphone. The only place you can do that is where? Anybody want to take a guess? On the PlayStation. That's the truth. All right? That's the real truth. So I'm not running. If what I'm saying is factually correct and can be proven, and can be proven, then there's nothing to talk down upon. When you have people like that, and I've said this multiple times, when you have people who are not looking at opinions, I'm not giving you my opinion. I can factually on Friday, or you can factually on Friday, come home from work. You can play Gran Turismo. You can play God of War. You can play Indiana Jones. Okay? And you only have one console that's doing that. Now, the Indiana Jones game is on PC, and so is God of War. Yeah, that's true. All that's true as well. But Gran Turismo is not. Demon Souls is not. At least not yet. Or Demon, whatever it's called. Is it Demon Souls or Dark Souls? Some Souls, okay? So it is what it is. I mean, I ain't mad if you do that or not. And you can say, well, if you have an Xbox, you can come home and do this on, and you're right. I can download this on Game Pass. You're right. You're not wrong. So, but, arguing and going back and forth, I've said this multiple times, is stupid when there's actual factual data out there. And that's why I don't argue with people anymore. Like, well, look, here's the data. Here's what we have. That's the end of it. That's the end of it. And so for me personally, watching this week kind of play out with the state of play being announced, and then people, again, I don't understand this, back in December or January when Sony had their last state of play. Okay? Sony has their last state of play. They show a brief tease trailer of Borderlands. They come out and they say, we're going to have a deep dive, we're going to have a deep dive later on this spring. Okay, Sony announces exactly that, and people are bitching. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I'm asking, make it make sense. So again, this is what I told you all. Even if they're being told, Sony is telling them, shout out to Kenneth Williams being in the chat. Sony is telling them exactly what they're doing. And even though Sony is literally, they're telling them what's happening, they're still bitching about shit. I mean, it is what it is. They're still bitching about it. I don't get it. I mean, if a company is telling me exactly what they're going to do, why would I be upset about it? Now, another thing here, and I disagree with Porter Rock on this. And I'll touch on this briefly before we get up out of here. He was saying that Sony is remastering the wrong games. That simply isn't true. let me tell you the facts here. Let me tell you the facts. That's his opinion, and that's fine. Let me tell you the truth. Sony treats every new generation with new gloves. So I'll tell you my story here. I'm gonna mention another friend of mine I've mentioned before. When the PS3 was out, I had an Xbox 360. My friend Bill had a PS3. He didn't have an Xbox 360. So on the PS3, he played games like Heavy Rain. All right, it's PS3. He played games like Metal Gear, Guns of the Patriots, or Sons of the Patriots, whatever that was called. He played that. All right, played that. He played a game you probably heard of it called Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. He played that. He played a game called Infamous 1 and Infamous 2. He played that. Now, I'm on the 360. I didn't play those games. But you know what? New generation happens. I traded in my 360. Hardest thing I had to do because Mass Effect was on there. I go out. And he also played a game called Killzone on his PS3. All right? He played a game called Resistance Fall of Man. And he played that game. It was like part 1, part 2. I don't know why you all couldn't kill man. I mean, man did not fall the first time. Man didn't fall the second time. Man didn't fall the third time. Like, why can't you all kill the man? Okay. So I get my hands on a PS4. I have never played The Last of Us. I never played it. I never played MLB The Show. I never played it. I never played Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. I never played those games. So they're targeting their new customers. All right? So did Naughty Dog not remaster Uncharted 1, 2, and 3? Did they not remaster it for the PS4? Wasn't it 1080p? 60 frames per second on the PS4? They remastered it. They remastered it. Because they're targeting new people. They're targeting new people. So that's the target. What Porter Rock is saying is that they should just target the people already in their ecosystem. But if you do that, you don't grow your ecosystem. You want to give the people who are new to the ecosystem, and this is Sony's philosophy, you want to give the people who are new to the ecosystem the best versions of what you got to keep them in your ecosystem. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. And again, so they come out with The Last of Us Part 1 PS5 version. Well, man, they already got the PS4 version. Yeah, they do. You're right. They do. But the PS4 version that's on PS5 isn't the optimum way to play the game because it does not. The only thing it does, if you put the PS4 version in, physical, of The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2, all it does is give you 60 frames per second. Now, that's an achievement. But the PS5 version is built ground up. You get the 60 FPS, you get the VRR, you get the ray tracing, you get all these things. You get the better audio. Again, you get all these things, all right, that the PS4 does not have. So this is the best way to play this game this generation built PS5 up for the people who didn't have PlayStation 4s. And I understand what Porter Rock is saying, and not just Porter Rock, other people too. What they're saying is Sony should focus on the people in its ecosystem now. But what Sony does is that they target people who are new into the ecosystem. Just like when Marvel started making their movies, Kevin Feige came out and specifically said, yeah, it helps to know what the comic books was going on, but in order to expand our audience, we decided to make it more cinematic. Here's what the term MCU. We made it more cinematic, so they wanted to invite a bigger tent in, and it worked. We're on when I go see the Thunderbolts Friday. When I go see the Thunderbolts, That's what movie like 29. There's been like 29 shows and 29 movies and what 15 TV shows. It feels like. So that's what Sony does. Sony is wanting to bring in new people in its newest hardware line. There's a lot of people that have PS5s that did not have PS4s. I know you all don't understand that, but that is true. That is true. A friend of mine that I work with went out and bought a PS5 at the beginning of April. Like April 4th, he bought a PS5. He never had a PS4. He's like, man, what's the first game I ought to play? Well, what do you like playing? Well, I like driving games. Oh, okay, well, Gran Turismo. Okay, and he went out and bought Gran Turismo, and he's like, man, this will probably really be fun if I put it in VR. Well, yeah. Definitely a different way to play the game. So, and then he has not gone out and got the VR yet. But, so Brittany String said they did Uncharted, God of War 3, The Last of Us. Oh, okay. So my point is that that's not for the people who have PS3s. All that you listed is on PS3. And a lot of people didn't have PS3s. I was one of them. So I didn't get to play the Metal Gears, the Infamouses. So the first Infamous game I played was Second Son. I know nothing about the Infamous games except for what I played on Second Son. The first God of War game I played was God of War from 2018. I know about the character. I know who Kratos is. I know he ain't the real God of War. That's Ares, so I don't know why he calls himself the God of War. But okay, all right. Everybody knows the real God of War is Ares, right? You know that, right? All right. So, but I had never played it, and so when I played it, I'm like, man, this is one of the best games I've ever played. This is just a good game. And it won Game of the Year. Okay, fine, fair enough. So, that's what you all have to remember. They're not targeting the audience that's already here. They're targeting the new audience that's coming in. So now they have all these people interested in The Last of Us because of the TV show. That's a new audience. That's a new audience. There's people on social media mad because Joel died. They didn't know. Shout out to Ryan Clark. Yes, that Ryan Clark was like, man, I can't believe they killed Joel. I hate Abby. Yeah, guess what? A lot of people were mad that Joel died. It's not new what you're experiencing. We experienced this, 5 years ago when we bought the game? It's 5 years old. Came out in 2020, during the pandemic, came out in 2020. Was it 2020 it came out? Yeah. It's just, so what Sony did is they said, okay, we got a bunch of old heads like me out here who still collect physical media. I still collect physical media. So when The Last of Us physical version came out, I ordered it. Of course I did. I'm a physical collector. So who was this? Well, nobody asked for this. If you buy physical media and you want the extra stuff because you're a fan of the franchise, you bought this. This is when the Beatles remastered, when the record company remastered the Beatles stuff and made it all digital. Well, yeah, there's a bunch of people who had their albums that are in analog who are like, well, nobody asked for this. Well, the people that were growing up in the digital era, the digital remaster era, remake era, they asked for it. They are the ones that asked for it. You're right, the old heads did not ask for it. Porter Rock is right, the old heads are not asking for this stuff. It's the new people. The Last of Us is everywhere now. You walk into different stores, it's got Pedro and on the side. With Ellie on the side of him, then other people in the background. It is what it is. And they are expanding to a new audience in order for them. And that's, again, Marvel did it. That's why the MCU is successful. And that is why. When Disney started making their cartoons back in the day, their animation, what did they say? The writer said, well, we wrote it. The kids are going to enjoy looking at it. But a lot of the humor is going to be adult humor. So when you would go see a Disney movie, and at the time I was dating a baby mama, and I took them to go see a couple of Disney movies, I was in there laughing, and they weren't laughing at all. I'm like, oh, that joke went over your head. I mean, so So it's just so that was what they did. So they expand the audience. The Expedition 33. What is Expedition 33? Was marketed to Xbox heavily. Xbox guys trash any Sony marketed game all the time. Well, I mean, again, okay, it was in Game Pass, so I would expect it to be marketed heavily by them. Again, I don't know why why is that? It's just not a big deal. Why are they doing a state of play for Badlands? What if I told you Badlands 3, I think, sold like 14 million copies? So why would you not attach yourself to something that's that successful? Like, what's the problem? Oh, do you know who actually makes that game? Doesn't Take-Two make that game? Doesn't Take-Two make that game? Didn't Sony announce 5 years ago a strategic partnership with Rockstar Games? Isn't Take-Two part of that? Huh? So I'm trying to get you all to put 2 and 2 together. Sony has a strategic marketing deal with Rockstar Games. Rockstar Games is owned by Take-Two Interactive. Take-Two Interactive makes 2K, don't they? I mean, I may be wrong. Somebody can correct me. So why not be associated with those games? I'm just saying. Also, Take-Two makes another game. Maybe you heard of it. It's called Grand Theft Auto. Take-Two is part of that. So why give them their own state of play? They have huge sales. They have a strategic marketing business with them, and everybody wants to make money. That's why. That's it. That's why. It's about the money. It's always about the money. All right? It doesn't matter what you think. Why did Donald Trump win the election? Money. That's it. People thought that Donald Trump was going to put more money in their pockets. Guess what? That's who they voted for. Surprise, surprise. Corey Matthews said, Man did fall in part 2. The third game was about what happened once man fell. Okay, fair enough. So man did fall. Okay, fair enough. Sony shouldn't have put Cell in PS3. Well, again, they thought Cell architecture was going to be taking on Intel, and it didn't work. But look at the relationship you got from it. Lisa Su and Mark Cerny worked pretty closely together with Cell technology, and that relationship is still strong to this day. So yes, you're right. The Cell architecture was successful in the sense that we had games that looked like Metal Gear, and that's what the people would say to me. The PlayStation games were in Blu-ray. They were like in a Blu-ray format. That's why they looked the way they did. So, but again, I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. So, it is what it is. So you can ask your questions now. I'm literally going to be here about another 5 minutes because I got to get ready I got to go get my clothes out of the dryer. See if it's still raining out there. I can't really tell. And then the 60 frames no lag starts in like 45 minutes. So, you already own the Last of Us collection. It won't even let you buy it if you already own both games. Yeah, I know. They want your money. It's about the money. How many of you all watch a long form show called The Boys? It's on Amazon. Shout out to the Ash and Luca for introducing me to that, for recommending that I watch it. I'm hooked on it. So there's a scene when Juan Carlo Esposito, I can't remember his name on the TV show, was eating dinner. And he's eating steak and eggs. I mean, it looks fantastic. Sirloin, eggs over easy, looks effing phenomenal. Drinking a big glass of orange juice. And let's see here. Keith Urban plays a guy named Butcher. That's his last name, Butcher. And Butcher is armed to the teeth. Sits down with Juan, who's in charge of this company called Vault. He's in charge of it at the time. They had this little dialogue. They have a dialogue, and they say, at the end, you think he's going to blow him away. So Butcher's like, you mean to tell me this is about the money? This is always about the money? And you know what Juan Carlo's character said? He said, Mr. Butcher, in the history of the United States of America, When has it never been about the money? So it's always about the money. And once you accept that, this whole notion that these companies should take less so that you have access is bullshit. That is some gentrified, baby talking bullshit. It just is. It's not going to happen. So what's the ETA for PS6? I was told 2030, 2031. About 4 years. That's, I expect some kind of announcement in 29, a soft announcement, then a hard announcement in 30, and it'll come out the end of 30, early 31. But is it worth it? It depends on what you want. That's in the eye of the beholder. So I'm not going to tell you that it is worth it. You got to determine what you think's important for gaming and go from there. For me, everything that they have said, it's doing. So, I'm getting what I paid for. They didn't say, well, we're going to do this, it's not going to do. It's doing everything they said. It's doing ray tracing, it's doing 60 frames, it's doing better fidelity. Yeah, it's doing everything they said. So, so far. So that's why I bought it. Who is it for? It's for that's about 50 months away. That's not a long time. It's not a long time. 2027, it's a little early for it. You got to remember they're working on brand new technology for it. But my understanding is 2030, 31, meaning that you're going to hear about it in 2029. And we're almost halfway through 2025. So just, yeah. Ghost of Yote, Goldie contender. Yeah, it may win. I think people put way too much emphasis on Game of the Year. So that's my opinion, though. There's a chance Ghost of Yote doesn't even get nominated. What if they nominate Death Stranding, Assassin's Creed Shadows, what's the name of that other game? Split Fiction, whatever it's called. Split Fiction, Expedition 69. That's already, 5 games? So I'm just saying. That's what we're looking at here. It's effed up, but that's what we're looking at. Should be $600, you're guessing. I think it's going to be 700. I think 700 is your new entry point at this point. Also, did you see where the ex-Rockstar employee said that we may not get another GTA trailer because it's already it doesn't need another trailer. You are going to go buy it no matter what. And he's right. We're going to buy GTA. Look, if you don't see another trailer, you're going to still buy GTA 6. The only thing I'll say is if there's another trailer, I hope they have gameplay. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, Monster Hunter. People quit talking about Monster Hunter. So you got Monster Hunter, you got Death Stranding 2, you got Ghost of Yote, you got Borderlands coming. There's a ton. You got Mind's Eye coming. That's a little sleeper for me. Certainly hope that does well. I've already pre-ordered that. You just got a lot of stuff coming. Stuff. That Saurus or whatever it's called. That's going to get its own state of play as well. That's going to get its own deep dive. It is. People need to get ready for it. People need to get it ready. Just get ready for it. You get it ready, you'll be fine. You can sit around and complain, or you can get it ready. So, and again, I'm thinking about upgrading my computer. I've been telling you all that. Instead of getting a PS6, I may try to get like a 9070 or 9060 or something like that. I got my 5090. So, yeah, PS4 is still going on. Technically, it is. It's coming. Yeah. So just get it ready. You won't have no. Again, if you want a PS6, you better look at 8K monitors. You better look at some 8K TVs. I'm just telling you better get it ready. Because again, if you buy one and it does 8K 60, you got a 4K TV. Now, yes, it will take the 8K image and downsample it. So you'll get a cleaner image, but you won't get an 8K native picture, and that's what they're going to target. Just telling you that That right there, that WCCF Tech article shows it. Now, it doesn't specifically say, oh, the PS6 is going to use this, but you got to look at the technology. Sony is still working with AMD on new technology. Now you see some of that new technology, 8K. That's where we're going. So you either can get it ready or you can complain about it. You can complain about it. It's that simple. It's that simple. Also, look, what am I playing? I'm playing Oblivion. I'm playing college football. I jumped back into, but then I slowed it out. Jumped back into Stellar Blade, but because I'm moving in like 18 days. We're getting it ready. So I'm slowly packing stuff up. It's sad. I've been here 4 years, but where am I going? I'm gonna have a little patio. I can go out there, drink some bourbon, and smoke a stogie. Two what's it called? 2 swimming pools, 2 tennis courts. $960. Not bad for an old man. So, but all right, guys, I'm gonna bounce. Like I said, I need to get ready for 60 frames, no lag. Make sure you go and check that out. El Nini said he's ready. Okay. Yeah, everybody better get it ready. Just get it ready. You'll be fine. All right, then. I appreciate you all being here. Shout out to you all for coming. And you all have a good rest of the day. And hopefully you come over and join me on 60 frames, no lag. Make sure you leave a like over there as well. Deuces.